So this is from a book that I got from Whispering Canadian, The Aboriginal Cultures in Alberta, 500 Generations. And it's from the Provincial Museum of Alberta. And there's some introductions and such in the beginning. Here, and I'm sorry that I'm pronouncing things bad and so on. I try to do it good, but I just mess it up, so it won't get any better. I'm sorry. And it's also dark, the pictures, and yeah, I do my best then. Still, at the end of the Ice Age. At the end of the Ice Age, many exotic plants and animals appeared on the Alberta landscape. And here is also the ice-free corridor between the British Columbian and continental glaciers around 12,000 years ago. And then there is the first Aboriginal groups in the New World could have moved south along the Pacific coast or across the interior along the east side of the Rocky Mountains. Here it doesn't show that which looks like birds of the Rockies, I guess. Around 18,000 years ago, Alberta was covered by an enormous sheet of ice that had it centered about where Hudson Bay is now. Animal populations were located northwest and south of the province. These species included mammoth, camel, bison, horse and bighorn sheep, and predators like lions and short-faced bears. As the climate warmed, ice gradually receded from the province. Water from the melting ice sheets carved out deep valleys. At the end of the Ice Age, about 12,000 years ago, new landscapes were available, and animals spread into Alberta both from the north and the south. During this period, mammoths and other animals were extinct, although bison survived and evolved into new species. Caribou receded to the north, and Wapiti elk spread across the continent from the north. How and when the first Aboriginal people came to the New World remains uncertain, but clear proof of human occupation exists in the northern Yukon 18,000 years ago. Human occupation of Alberta, however, had to wait until the ice sheet had melted sufficiently so the plants and animals could colonize the landscape. As melting began, an ice-free corridor opened between the glaciers that covered most of British Columbia and the massive continental glacier that was centered on Hudson Bay. This gap between the glaciers first opened along the eastern foothills of the Rocky Mountains and may have been the route by which the Americas were first populated. If so, some of the earliest archaeological sites in the New World may be discovered in Alberta. Indeed, the oldest archaeological sites located so far in Alberta do occur along the eastern slopes. However, it is also possible that the earliest people to cross the Bering Land Bridge moved south along the Pacific coastline. Travel along the coast could have been easier at this time because the water contained in the massive glaciers resulted in lower sea levels, thereby exposing more land along the coast. The exact timing and route of travel are much debated, but Aboriginal populations have been living in Alberta for at least 12,000 years. Elsewhere in the New World, there are tantalizing suggestions that people may have been here for much longer, perhaps even arriving before the last great glaciation. So, and then we come to the how old is the past, and they show a little sketch of an excavation at the Vermilion Lake site showing a circular arrangement of artifacts. It's dated at more than 10,000 years, and this site is the oldest shelter known in Canada. You can't see it well when I show it, but in the middle there are fireplace and scattered charcoal around and the edge of a possible tent wall, and they found some stone artifacts there and so on, and yeah. And here are also bases of spare points from Sibbald Creek site, aged 9,000 to 10,000 years old. We'll show you soon. And also, the nature is the Vermilion Lakes region of Banff National Park. And there are excavations at Vermilion Lake site near Banff also. And the spears that I have my fingers on, the one above is the Clovis Point from Thorsby, that is about 11,000 years old, and the other darker one is the Folsom Point from Grand Prairie, aged 10,500 years old. The oldest archaeological sites discovered in Alberta date between 9,000 and 11,000 years ago, and include sites called Vermilion Lakes, James Pass, and Sibbald Creek. Sibbald Creek is a little picture, smallest picture there. All located in Alberta's eastern slopes. These sites contain durable stone tools and the bones of animals, as well as the remains of camp activities such as fireplaces. The earliest people hunted big game animals, including bison. Here's that sketch of the fireplace I found. The oldest one. They also must have consumed a wide variety of small animals and edible plants. Although we know they had the use of fire, we know almost nothing about their dwellings or clothing. A rare exception was found at Vermilion Lakes near Banff, where a circular arrangement of artifacts suggests people there were living in a shelter. That which I showed dated at more than 10,000 years old. These are the remains of the oldest shelter known in Canada. Now all that is left of the multitude of tools these early people used are those made of stone. We have found the knives and scrapes, but not the handles that held them. There are spearheads, but not spears. We know very little about the people themselves, since their physical remains have not yet been found and other aspects of their culture have not been preserved. The oldest known types of artifacts in Alberta are Clovis and Folsom spear points. These are called fluted points because of a characteristic channel or flute on each side near the base, which allowed the points to be tied securely to the foreshaft of a spear. Fluted points have been recovered from excavations at James Pass west of Sunder and Sibbald Creek west of Calgary. The earliest Aboriginal people in Alberta were in contact with other groups over a wide region of the continent. Even 10,000 years ago, people shared similar styles of artifacts with distant people and used stone obtained through trade from hundreds of kilometers away. Some Alberta points, for example, are made of knife river flint, and a type of stone that is only found in North Dakota, some 1,000 kilometers away. And here we also have ancient tools from the past. There are some from 8,000 years ago up till 11,500 years ago, and so on. But the spear is the oldest type of weapon used in Alberta. It was primarily used from about 11,000 to 8,000 years ago, but some spears were used in recent times. A powerful weapon, the spear required close contact with wild game animals and put hunters at considerable risk. Some spears could have been made from a single shaft with a stone tip tied to the end. Others were more complex tools that included a detachable foreshaft, which allowed rapid reloading. Whether thrust by hand or thrown a short distance, spears were a close-range weapon that delivered a great deal of force at the target. And here also from old women's points, and from different. You can't read the different years there, but how they looked at different time periods. The bow and arrow is a weapon of stealth. Spears and darts required hunters to stand upright in the open and make highly visible body movements. Animals were easily scared, and there was little chance of making several kills. Bow hunters could remain hidden and shoot repeatedly at a herd of animals, the quiet, accurate nature of the bow, and the ability to reload quickly allowed hunters to make several kills at once. The bow at one time. The bows used by the Aboriginal people in Alberta were so powerful they had been seen to propel an arrow right through one buffalo into a second one. The bow and arrow is relatively recent, first appearing in Alberta only about 18,000 years ago. No, not 18,000, sorry. 1800 years ago. The dart throwing, which is so here, this is the next thing I will talk about, and there is also the dart and throwing stick consists of a long slender dart and a short handheld throwing stick. Known by the Aztec world, atl throwing stick permitted darts to be thrown at great distance with